Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Now, today I'm going to go ahead and do the new moon message. It's tomorrow on June 6th, and today is June 5th, but it's happening pretty early in the morning, so I want to get a jump on the energy now. And so, of course, as always, we'll do the new moon message first and then the new moon reading after, and it'll be timestamped below in the description and also in the comments, okay? So, without further ado, this is the new moon in Gemini message. The new moon in Gemini is happening tomorrow, June 6, 2024. That's 6/6/2024. At 8:38 a.m., by the way. Communication is key in the light of this lunation. The divine channel is quite clear at this time, which could make you a great receiver of big, bright ideas. Subsequently, you may also feel more encouraged to share your thoughts, no matter how outlandish they may sound. This new moon says, go for it. You never know who's listening and gaining inspiration from your aspirations. And if nothing else, the universe is all ears, eager to align proclamations with actualizations for ultra desirable manifestations. You'll have celestial support to seek valuable information from the moon's link with Venus in Gemini, Saturn in Pisces, and the North and South nodes. Intel from trustworthy supporters and/or credible sources could compel optimum results rather than simply relying on trial and error. Think, as a good Gemini loves to do, working smarter, not harder. The sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter are all up in the mix, which is ample support to bring big ideas to life with considerable ease, or at least with enjoyment. The urge to communicate may not be exclusive to creativity. Chiron and Aries could heighten an expression of feelings and emotional sentiments that help heal wounds from trauma. As open sharing promotes empathy with the plight of others, fairly manage the urge to offer unsolicited advice, as well as the filter by which you receive the same. It's a delicate time of discretion, as what some may be newly encouraged to share could be sensitive, even triggering information. Active listening is in high demand, significantly more than even critical counsel may be. Mind your words before you speak in social media spaces, i.e. the comment section, and of course, in real life. Words matter, literally. Words become matter. There's so much manifestation force in the realm, particularly during this new moon cycle. It's most productive to set your thoughts, intentions, words, and actions on the highest frequency fathomable for yourself and also toward others. It's a wonderful time to be alive, where everything you envision to be, do, and have is attainable. Be bold in the profession of your truth and watch how the universe backs you up, advances you further, and ascends you higher to infinity and beyond. All right, so that's the new moon message in Gemini, again happening tomorrow, June 6, 2024 at about 8:38 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, govern yourselves accordingly. All right, next, and without further ado, this is the new moon in Gemini reading. let's get right into it. Not going to belabor the moment at all. Oh, by the way, I hope you're doing well. Didn't say that. I'm pretty sure I didn't say that. I hope you're already preparing yourself for this fantastic energy that's already activated. Just kind of like waiting for you to dive in, set some intentions of things you want to manifest, affirmations, proclamations, professions, vision boards. You know, it's a new moon, so it's perfect time to actually initiate new products, maybe, new projects, new products, to start some new activity, all newness, you know, for sure. Like, you'll have a great deal of positive support at this time to do it, and also to do it wisely, because there's an inflection of Saturn in Pisces that is also encouraging you to kind of like really consider your steps even before you take them. So it's not just a matter of jumping out the window with the first big bright idea with reckless abandon. It's also being a bit calculated, particularly based on what you've already learned or discovered about yourself or about your any particular intention or ambition, and using all of that intel to make smart moves, you know, to initiate things wisely and productively and prosperously. So you know, you don't have to guess or, you know, jump out blindly so much. Like, not only do you have the ambition, the energy, the inspiration, the intelligence even, you also have the experience, you know? So it's a good time. It's a good time. This is your sign to be all gas, no brakes, or mostly gas and brake where appropriate. Like at stop signs and traffic lights and such. Or for pedestrians, of course. Oh boy, okay, so we got the Six of Cups here. Interesting. This could be some type of like childhood memory, past life regression, now in present reflection. Could be childhood memories or experiences. It's definitely more of an energy that has, I've just heard deja vu. Interesting. Never heard that before for this card. So maybe something like that. Ooh. And you know what? This energy came up yesterday with this card already on the table, and then this was under the deck. So there's something here about, I try to take it easy on the Six of Cups, because not all childhood memories or past life regressions or, you know, past experiences are unfavorable, of course. But with the Devil card, there's something binding about these regressions that is not forwarding, whether it be recycling codependent relationship dynamics. And given we're in Gemini season, we're in a new moon phase, we're about to be in a new moon phase, there could be a revisiting of old partnerships or partnership dynamics that resurface for present review. Meaning it could literally be an ex or past, whether it's like actual relational or intimate, or even like a familial relationship that is revisited whether, you revisit it or it's kind of like presented for reconsideration in some way, that I don't know, I don't like the devil energy attached to it, because it's feeling like some relational dynamics, in whatever way they have been perhaps toxic, are ambitious to kind of pull you back into a binding, whether it's to regress you back to an old state of mind, an old emotional inflection. Oh, you know what? I spoke about this, about this being also a time of like expressing yourself to heal wounds and traumas. So worst case scenario, there could be an opportunity to address some cycle of trauma or relational dynamic that may or may not be triggering, but is for the purposes of bringing closure and healing to that experience for yourself. Now, whatever the opposing force may be in it for, like I said, is questionable, because it feels like, primitively speaking, either an ex trying to get you back in their clutches, or an old friendship, an old friend that wants to reconnect, but doesn't have the best intentions, or that may be a relationship that triggers you back into toxic behaviors or mindsets, or even addictions and codependencies, they're not progressive, could be a relationship, a friendship, or even a family dynamic, where there may be a history of trauma in a particular connection between, this could be father, daughter, it doesn't have to be, but I'm saying that because this is like a masculine energy to a feminine energy, but it could be that. It even could be like an abusive relationship that, again, is coming up for review in some way, shape, or form. And it's like really presenting itself for you to heal and finally bring a close to what may still be an open wound, or just an open-ended conversation of sorts, maybe something that you didn't even know you needed to have closure on. And it doesn't necessarily have to be person to person, although this lunation definitely encourages that, with Gemini being a very communicative sign. But it could just be the thoughtfulness about the ways in which that psychological wounding still has a resonance in in your being, and that there's a point of opportunity either to fully release, or to engage a new way of being or considering that experience that is empowering, like a new idea about that experience that is not victimizing, but that actually kind of sets you free to move forward. So let me be clear that closure doesn't have to be hashing out, triggering conversations or dialogue in order to feel like, oh, now I can let that go. For some, you may never even get that opportunity, or in some dynamics that would be where that would be possible, you may or may not find your healing within that exchange, because some people may or may not be willing to see their contribution to your experience the way that you do. Naturally so, but certainly if there's any dissension or trauma there, like consider you perhaps, best case scenario, desiring an apology for things that you encountered, you may not get that, because whomever you may be wanting that from may or may not have come to terms with why they should, and they may never come to terms with if they should offer an apology or any type of retribution for their contribution to the dynamic. So it's up to you to kind of create that moment of relief and healing for yourself, again, by seeing, calling in a fresh perspective of the truth for yourself and how that can move you forward is what I'm seeing. Wow, now yeah, here's the Wheel of Fortune. Talk about moving forward, fortunately, seeing the bigger picture with Jupiter energy here. And the Devil card, of course, that's Capricorn, but seeing the bigger picture and taking your power back is what I'm actually sensing here. Again, to not be the victim, but to be the victor. And seeing why, kind of calling in a bird's eyes view to see how even the most detrimental experiences or unfavorable experiences have added value to who you have become now. That's a hard thing to do, especially when you're in the thick of the trauma or you're still quite tender to it. But one thing's for sure, like, the mind is a powerful entity. And for me personally, I have evolved quite acceleratedly just simply by the initiation of an intention before even I can grasp the actualization of that intention. Meaning, if I want to be over something, if I want to see something differently, if I want to call in forgiveness, if I no longer want to be emotionally confined to an experience, I will establish that mentally as an intention with good reason, of course, with grounded reason. It's not just a matter of poof puff and so it is, but to establish the intention for an outcome first is unbelievably powerful, especially by way of claiming or reclaiming your own creative power, what you get to make of your experiences, particularly the unfavorable ones, of which in some cases you may not have had control over what happened to you or what you incurred or what what you may have, justifiably have been a victim of, but you absolutely have control over what you have victory over, despite, the past or the disfavor of the experience itself. So yeah, there's something here. And not only that, it's like the Wheel of Fortune is saying to me that there's definitely set to be some, I'm gonna take these out, why not? Some retribution for the experiences that have been incurred, particularly unjustifiably, I would say. So it's like, especially given having the will and the courage to heal beyond what couldn't be helped, having the intention to just keep pushing on to evolve past your pain or past an unfavorable event or encounter. it's like the universe is responding accordingly with justice and judgment, respectively. You know, like karma, pretty much. You know, whether it be, again, the retribution or the restoration for what was lost on account of the encounter, or what was perpetuated on the other end, is what I'm trying to say. Like, everything is finding its way to balance, respectively. And given we're in the lover season, of course, like, this is the opposite of that here with the Devil's card versus the Lover's energy. I mean, we're in Gemini season, but the Lover's card is the Gemini card, and this is the Devil energy. So it could even be like controlling relationships, manipulative relationships, you know. Again, certainly emphasis on abusive here. That may have been endured for a long time. Yeah, here is the retribution, the backfire, or the restoration here to whomever it is due. So what really is significant right now is maintaining an intention of prosperity and productivity with your thoughts, your emotions, your passion, your energy, your time, your focus, you know, like, just really with this new moon energy, to even as we are all healing from something or of something, focus your time and your energy on the proactivity of your passion, using that kinetic energy to manifest what you desire, as opposed to reflecting on what has been undesirable. That will virtually take care of itself in the wash of your intention to be prosperous at this time. Yeah. All right, let's see what else. A lot of activity outside my window right now. Here's new opportunities to expand, to explore, maybe to see yourself in a new light, in a new expression of talent. Again, here's that passion piece, using that energy to pursue things that excite you, that enliven you, that are, you know, lead you into new territory and adventures. And of course, seeing yourself in new evolved ways, right up under the Wheel of Fortune, is definitely speaking to like discovery, personal discovery that is fresh and exciting. You wouldn't want to hamper that experience with regressive psychological or emotional energies, which is why I think it was important to say that there could be an ambition for interference, you know, for people to kind of see where you are now, in spite of what they know you have encountered or experienced, and either be confused by it and kind of want to come back and take inventory of why you're doing so well, or why you still have such a positive outlook on life, even though they themselves know what role they played in deterring you from that reality in some way, shape, or form, or, you know, either wanted to discover who this new you is in this new evolved form, but there, I mean, definitely with a lower frequency of intention to impose upon it, disrupt it, or again, to just regress it back to what would be more controllable. Meaning, simply put, an ex seeing you doing so well without them, and so they want to kind of creep back into your presence and see if they can forge a connection that seems harmless and almost familiar, because, you know, maybe they were the love of your life at some point. But the intention behind that reconnection is really just to disrupt your progress, and certainly to corrupt your potential. So there's that, but the Wheel of Fortune is here, so that's, and it's leading, even though this was the first card, but it's leading this charge here to me, which says that anybody that even has the sheer intention to be disruptive and corruptive in that way has fate to pay. Yeah, because you're not even here for it anyway with the Two of Swords. And good. You shouldn't be. You know, and this also came up yesterday as crossroads moments. So like I said, there could be a presentation of a proposition or potential partnership, but as familiar and sweet as it may seem, 9 times out of 10, it's not something, it's something to be indifferent about, or even to be completely blocked to, or to block out altogether. In this energy, it's nothing that has changed from what it used to be. Maybe the face of it has changed, but it's still the same formulation of toxicity that you knew it to be. It just may or may not be repackaged, and you are on some new stuff where the territory that you are chartering now is not conducive for old toxic mentalities and partnerships. It's a solo mission at best, or someone that would be, you know, a pleasure companion at the very least. Yeah, we got the Emperor here, like, let me see what's under, but because it feels like a bit of an obstruction, like the Emperor feels a bit controlling in this energy here, up against the Page of Wands, which is kind of like a childlike energy, like somebody wants to impose their force on your adventure, your own personal discovery, your own journey to self, or journey, you know, fateful journey as it is with the Wheel of Fortune, maybe to literally impose upon your good fortune to control the trajectory of your evolution. Exactly. Wow, look at this. To make it harder for you to move forward, and this is definitely about someone trying to re-inflict trauma, literally to put somebody back in a struggle position. Like, where do you think you going? What new life you think you gonna have, to cause shocking moments? And look what's under here, the Death card. Wow. This is an energy with, I'm being too nice. And that's probably something that you might want to be careful of. of giving people too much of the benefit of the doubt, to hear them out, to consider their position. Well, maybe they change. Well, it won't be hard to tell. It won't take long. Your senses about what's being presented to you will be alarmed, maybe even beyond what you can actually physically see as evidence. But this is the intention, to make it hard for someone to move on, to close out these cycles of toxicity and trauma, to reignite, to almost like turn back the wheel of time all over again, and to cause endings that are dreadful ultimately, that are destructive. What's under here? Wow. To your new possibilities. The Lover's card. To new commitments in an upright form. Yeah, it's like energy that wants to drag you back down, cut you down to size. Remember could even be that, literally, with the Page of Wands, like, well, I remember what you used to be or how you used to do or whatever, like trying to drag you back into some diminished self-esteem and confidence about yourself, to almost, sully your energetic force field from this fortune that is coming in no matter what. But what this interference would want to do is to make it hard for you to recognize it, let alone to receive it. First, by imposing themselves as a potential candidate, which probably won't be hard to tell that they're not, but then to, again, infect your confidence that, this is your energetic force field here, your magneticism, to demagnetize you to some extent for what is ultimately good for you. Like I said, like a pleasure to connect with. Somebody doesn't want to see you be happy. They want to be able to control that fortune. That's too many, but let's see. Yeah, and you're not going for it because where your guards are already up to these psychological advances. And as I was shuffling, I was looking at the Six of Cups, because it's something that is looking to really be impressed upon you from a psychological or emotional standpoint. I really feel like it's literally just bringing up old traumas, because it's really like impressing old traumas upon your psyche to make you feel wounded all over again, or to make you feel where you have evolved from the hurt and the pain and things and the triggers to some degree. Is like somebody would want to regress you back into a state of victimhood, like you still got some work to do, or you still not over that, or it's weird because they can't really inflict new traumas, especially if you see them a mile away and you're already on guard at that Two of Swords, like, no, you're not getting through here. Then it really is someone that would want to traumatize you from a past perspective. But with the Queen of Swords, it's like you're too intellectually objective. And I even think is that Gemini or Aquarius with the Queen of Swords? I guess it could be any of the air signs. But you're too intellectually objective at this point to be emotionally manipulated, which is a good thing. You get to be vulnerable and intimate with those, again, that have earned the right to that sacred space. and continue to be defensive, to say the least, against those that have proven themselves to sully that space, proven themselves untrustworthy of that level of intimacy and access to you. We got the King of Wands here facing the Emperor under the Devil card. That could even be you with, oh, okay, yeah, with the Page of Wands here. This is where the Emperor is kind of like side-eyeing the Page of Wands. Sometimes I see him looking this way a little bit to me on the card. So it's like where the Emperor would want to keep you suppressed to the Page of Wands, like this controlling force, this domineering, tyrant of sorts, whether it's an energy, because it's under the Wheel of Fortune. So this could be from the most macro perspective to the most intimate, the most micro. Like it could be universal, global, national, general, or personal, but in any way, shape, and form that there is this imposition of power and dominance over your experience and your evolution is unlawful, spiritually and perhaps otherwise, but certainly spiritually unlawful. And so the Emperor, this is the intention to kind of limit the growth of this at this Page of Wands stage, to almost keep you docile, to keep you like distracted by your own ambitions or passions to some degree. But the King of Wands is the master. He's evolved, he's wise, he has not just the ignition of his passions, but he has the experience, like I was saying before, like to have now the experiences of behind your ambitions, to know exactly what to initiate, how to strike, when to push the gas, when to pump the brakes. Like this is, although the Emperor might have a great deal of might and influence, the King of Wands is still stabilized. Again, this is literally taking your power back, assuming your authority no matter what, whether it be a confrontation of an energy that is so-called above you or beneath you. No matter what, you stand firm on what you know to be true for you. And given, if the passion is pure, of course, not perverted, not distorted, then that's solid ground. Of course, I'm sensing here, let's see what's under the bottom. Yeah, okay. So I'm sensing here that there could be, the King of Wands is always the most susceptible to perversion because he leads with passion, because he's a more impulsive creature by nature. But I'm getting a sense that it's more so like being even provoked to anger or to react and respond in ways that are self-sabotaging. That's what it is. So somebody is engaging you as if you're a Page of Wands who would be susceptible to a reactionary response that is unrighteous or that is damaging or self-sabotaging. But the King of Wands isn't in the highest frequency, is not so easily provoked. And that's the misstep of the Emperor here, is that someone is still looking to maybe even trigger you by way of your impulses, your addictions, your bad habits, your point of low self-esteem or just a lack of awareness, when you've grown a great deal since the last point of confrontation or of a traumatic experience. You've actually grown on account of your traumatic experiences and have learned to balance your impulses with wisdom and with self-control now. You're not as easily provoked to anger, even when you know that the intention is for you to be provoked. When people are doing things that would justifiably would justifiably warrant you to be upset or to have a certain aggressive response, to still be self-controlled and grounded is not the anticipation of energetic forces that kind of know your trigger, or at least they knew your triggers, they know your sore points, and they know what buttons to push. They think they know exactly how to get you to get up off the throne and do something erratic. But lo and behold, those trigger points aren't quite the same as they remembered. So it's like a face-off here. Sort of, because it's like the King of Wands is looking at the Emperor, but the Emperor's still side-eyeing the past. And that's the faultiness of the Emperor, is that they're still operating off of what used to be, maybe a power they used to possess, an impression that they used to have, an impact that they could easily make once upon a time. It doesn't have the same effect now. Wow. Two of Cups in reverse. I'm gonna take that. It kind of flipped weird out. Yeah, because it's like what it's given is that someone has canceled. You may have canceled the contracts, these lower frequency contracts and commitments that you once made out of familiarity, out of comfort, out of obligation, out of a lower frequency of esteem for yourself, not knowing, what you were privileged to have, or what you were worthy, how you were worthy to be treated and to be regarded, knowing that it was your right, your righteous right, to be in the company of someone that shares the same emotional frequency as you. You're on the same page. The feelings are mutual. It's like you've kind of bought your way out of those binding commitments that were not productive, were not healthy, and you canceled those contracts. They're null and void now. So that's what it is. It's like the Emperor is trying to operate off of old commitments, even ones that you had forged with yourself about who you are, but you're no longer bound by those terms. That's what's up. Let's see what else we got. There we go. 3 of Cups. That's something worth celebrating, I suppose. It's something worth celebrating. I just heard like a divorce party. That's the energy of the 3 of Cups. Like usually it's the bridesmaids, celebrating an engagement or, a wedding of sorts. with the Three of Cups, but this could literally be, with the reversal of it, it could literally be a celebration in the heavens for the contracts that you have voided in your life, the corrupted contracts, of course. Because now it's like you can't enter a new contract, say with the Lover's card, the Lover's energy, if you're still bound in a commitment. Like you can't get married if you're still tied up to the last husband, or even still in a relationship. I mean, I guess you can to some degree, and people do, but in most states it's unlawful, and it's not spiritually sound, really, unless your spiritual beliefs are for polyamorous or polygamous relationships. That's something different, of course, but I'm speaking of someone that is intentional about a one-to-one commitment for the most part. And as long as you were still tied up, and this could even be energetically speaking, and probably is more so than physical, but as long as you were still bound by the traumas of your past, and especially with these perpetrators looking to, you know, reinfuse that wounding, puncture that wounding all over again, you could never be in a magnetic position to attract the partnership that would be Two of Cups and the upright on the same page and frequency, both emotionally available to the Lover's energy, where you're primed for sacred union, ready to unify, walk down the aisle, make it official, whatever it is that, you know, solidifies that commitment, that new contract itself. You can never be ready for that, stuck in this. So congratulations. Yeah, Five of Pentacles, that's the position that you would be in energetically without even meaning to be, you know, when there's still that old residue of victimhood there. Trauma, unresolved trauma with the Five of Pentacles. That takes a toll on your money, your energy, your time, your resources, your ability to advance. Everything is affected by trauma, even in the most subconscious and psychological ways. You could have all the money in the world and still not be prosperous on account of unresolved trauma. So to cancel that old contract is definitely a good thing. And it probably is the last thing that these adverse energies would have expected. Certainly their biggest fear. Because if you're not bound by these old cycles and traumas, there's nothing for energy such as the Emperor to really, there's no way for an energy such as that to benefit from your energy, even from your fortune. Yeah, it's like once upon a time, energies were just like inherent beneficiaries of energies that they didn't even really have jurisdiction to consume from. They just kind of assumed jurisdiction. As the Page of Wands, being none the wiser, more or less being a little bit naive and again, unaware of the power that they possess. So it was easy for it to be monopolized and manipulated. But now, as there is maturity, even awareness of lower frequencies within self, and of course, in opposition to self, is so much harder to renegotiate by old terms, let alone to then to draw new contracts of corruption. So it's like, if there is no agreement here, the Emperor energy is at a total loss. Yeah, Five of Swords. What should I do? Should I move over? No, let's keep it clean. Unless I feel compelled to draw more cards. But let's just get 3 more. Yeah, this is a win at all costs. And it's like, it sure didn't stop them from trying. Everything with every insurrection, is that even the word? I don't know. But everything was tried to, again, like I said, infect the wound, puncture a wound, to establish new contracts of disorder, to renegotiate old terms, all of that. And it's like, by the trickiest means though, like nothing upright, of course, which is why it's not admissible in the spiritual court of law. And that's what takes precedence here with this Wheel of Fortune. It's not, I mean, where there may be inconsistencies in natural law, of course, that's one thing, but spiritual law is never overlooked. Even though it may take a while for judgment and justice to be served, it's always accounted for. And where some were able to kind of weasel their way through secret terms, hidden terms, and fine print of certain agreements before literally weasel their way in the energetic force fields of those that have been contractually bound, not even knowing that they were to some degree. It's like the universe is canceling all of that. What's on the bottom? Yeah, look at that, 6 of Wands. That's the victory against the deception. Every stop that could have been pulled has been. And at every attack, there's been victory, even in the small ways that you may or may not, be able to grasp at this time. I mean, just to still be alive through some of the things that you may have endured is a great feat. But to actually have success, reward, notoriety for how you have carried your energy, maintained a pure passion, didn't allow yourself to be corrupted to the dark side, the darkest side of things as a point of retaliation. Again, as I said, that's commendable. The spirit is pleased, and there will be an earthly response of that pleasure by way of the Wheel of Fortune. That everything that was corrupted contained, withheld from you is going to be released, and more, because there's so much more in store as long as you continue on this track. So nothing really stopped, even if it was slowed down. Yes, come through, Spirit, with the Sun. Exposure for your enemies, hidden enemies, for sure. The ones that you didn't, like I said, it's like you didn't know who, from the top down, who was giving these orders and who was carrying them out. You know, energetically speaking or actually speaking, whatever it was, there's like a revelation here in this season about what's been plaguing you, what's really been in the way of your ultimate prosperity. Let me see what's on the bottom. Yeah, here's a message here. And it's from an emotional and psychological standpoint, like what's been tainting that cup at its purest form, where it, like I said, it could be that childhood wounding. It could be that past relationship of which you didn't even know you were sleeping with the enemy to the extent that you were. Maybe you broke up because something was a little bit off, but you had no idea how you were really being affected and infected with something potentially gross here. You know? Because, I mean, who wants to drink a beverage with a fish in it, really? That's gross. And in some ways, like, you didn't even know that what you were drinking was tainted or poisoned or strange. You know, it's just, you know, I've been watching, I guess it's an all right time to say it at this point, because I really don't know why, but I do know why. But my attention has been drawn to the channel Unfiltered Stories. I don't know how it started circulating my timeline on YouTube, but sometimes it can be quite addictive to get into, especially if you ain't got nothing better to do, because the stories are like 20 minutes or so. And it's real life accounts of people, their childhood traumas pretty much, and how they've grown from it and grown beyond it. Usually there's a great success story, which is the part that I love. But the trauma itself is captivating as well, because it's like astounding to see how many souls of people of all different colors, creeds, backgrounds, economical statuses. Like, there's no discrimination whatsoever. The one thing that unifies them all is the fact that it started to happen to them as a child. But it's like alarming the amount of people that have been defiled, abused, taken advantage of, outright, you know, like, in some cases mutilated, but certainly emotionally so, if not physically, but just desecrated as human beings, but particularly as children. Like, some of the stories that people have, it's just like, damn, like, what is wrong with people, you know? So anyway, I've been watching those lately, and it is quite astounding to see so many different cases, and to know, like, and to also know that monsters come in so many different faces. You know, the people that you would least expect, the people that are supposed to love you the most, the people that present a trustworthy persona to the world, and then come home and are absolute terror. You know, it's crazy. And it's like I said, in some ways, some of the stories, you you get a sense of the innocence of the person at the onslaught of the experience, where at first they didn't even really know that what was happening to them was obscured. It was, I mean, the more you watch, you realize that maybe it's far more common than it isn't, but they kind of thought like maybe this is just the way life should be. So some things that you learn to kind of just drink up, as bitter as it may have tasted, you may be coming into the realization and the revelation that no, there was something terribly wrong there. And it could be in like really obvious ways, that anyone can identify, but it could be in some subtle ways too that you didn't even know how certain experiences have affected how you've grown and affect everything that you do even up until this point, So Page of Cups on that. Let me get one more and then I'm out. There's definitely exposure here. Wow, okay. All right, I'm not gonna take those, but we got, I can't even, because I'm already too far in to take all these, but you see what was on the top. I just want one more, Spirit, but that was a lot, maybe a hell of a lot to be exposed, to kind of brace yourself for. And the card that was blaring out to me the most was that Three of Swords. Could be quite triggering. That is the representation of trauma, as a matter of fact. Some truths that are kind of hard to face, that kind of hurt to discover, let alone to digest, but ultimately will give you the power. Will help you to reclaim your power. Oh, okay, guess it did want to come out. Wow, beautiful. Your power and your independence here with the Nine of Pentacles, and that is a great way to end, if I do say so myself. Great way to end the spread. Despite resistance, attacks, aggression, negative influences, here you are still standing in the light of day, on your own 2 feet, more stable and secure now as the Nine of Pentacles than perhaps than you ever were before. Yeah, and there's something about the protection of this sun that's resonating to me, like as a child of the divine, like you were always protected. You were always covered. So the opposition was always doomed from the very beginning, whether they knew it or not. Imagine to come up against a divine being that has inherent security, or is it inherited, whatever, security. There have been all types of breaches of that security, contractually, kinetically, creatively, consciously and subconsciously, and it will all be reconciled fairly, as you will be restored. For every moment of disfavor incurred, you'll be restored and then some. King of Pentacles. Definitely a proactive stance of power over your material world. Mastery over it. That it can no longer be manipulated by outside forces, dictated, monopolized. That how you materialize the very essence of you is now within your control and by your own authority. With the favor of the divine at that. Who's coming against that? There is no worthy opponent, and that's the God honest truth. Emphasis on truth heavy this Gemini season, like heavy. Truths that may be hard again to face and to accept, but are certainly going to be maybe even hard to say, because that definitely is an emphasis on communication in this season. That there may be some things that you've been holding on to, holding back from saying. And there are multiple reasons why that could be, to protect others, to even protect yourself. Also considering in some of the unfiltered stories that a lot of times the victims in that time frame of when they were victimized didn't say anything because they didn't think they would be believed, or they were afraid of the consequences for their predator. And then sometimes outright they did say something and they were either ignored or accused of lying, or just disregarded. And I don't even know what's worse, to bottle up a truth inside of you that you don't feel safe to express or to share, and it not be addressed properly. Whole nother level of trauma there. And there are very few stories where there was a fair response to the occurrence, to the discretion, to the point where it was reported to the police, the person was removed or disconnected from access to, the victim, and there was actually justice served. There are far more stories where there's a void somewhere. Even if it was reported and it was believed, it's like, maybe they were still let in the house, or they never pressed charges, or they pressed charges, but there was no evidence. And there's usually far more of a hole or void in the victory of the survivor than there is in a holistic triumph over that experience. And that's really sad. That's a real sad thing to note, that in just this hand, it serves as a good sample of the statistics that actually exist of those that report and what the outcome is, which is very, very low. A lot of people don't even share their stories until they're good and grown. And the trauma that they report and can recollect, it's like, how have you even survived with all of that emotional and psychological damage? But yet many have, and many have flown under the radar, maybe experiencing their own brand of karma, in real time in some way or another. But the totality of retribution and restoration is to be made solid in this season. Certainly in this lifetime, if you get a chance to see it. So where you can literally be made whole, as whole and complete to the fullest of your value and preciousness as you possibly can, and at least be given the opportunity to reclaim that wholeness for yourself, and whatever brand of it is still available for you to have. It's coming by way of exposure and by way of revelation. It is so. So, perpetrators, beware, because no one is safe, no one is secure, and certainly no one is invincible. All right, so I'm gonna leave it at that. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, as always, I leave you with peace.